Hey, and welcome back to part two with Chef Ariel. Over the last 20 years working in restaurants, I met a lot of really interesting people. Bourdain called us pirates and misfits, and he couldn't be more right. We really were, we are a hodgepodge of cultures and backgrounds, and we get to play with food all day, and we get to make a living doing that, and it's pretty damn awesome. This is what Inside the Pressure Cooker is all about. It's about making some new friends and sharing some stories with some old friends. And listen, we all know that life inside a kitchen is not for everyone. We've seen plenty of people come and go that thought they could hack it and they couldn't. It really does take a special someone not only to survive, but to really thrive in an environment of just what feels like complete fucking chaos, but it's pretty damn controlled. And then just the constant pressure and the stupid hours you put in, not to mention it can be a very thankless job. Before you know it, it's all in your blood and it's the only thing you know. And you need more. It's an addiction. This is the bond that all line cooks and chefs share. It's becoming the heartbeat of the kitchen, as cliche as that fucking sounds. But it's in our blood, which means it's fucking pulsing through our veins. And it's what we live for. This is Chad Kelly, and I've been slinging pans for over 25 years. And in that time, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of many successful kitchen teams, many of which I had the privilege of leading. And during those final few years of my career, I found that my passion was not only just in cooking, but it was the people, and it was mentoring the next generation of chefs. Hey, quick interruption before we jump on to the rest of this. Two things. First, there's a link in the show notes that, well, it's not really a link, it's my email. Please, I want to hear some feedback from y'all. What do you love? What do you not love? This is how I learn. And the second part, I've set up a Patreon account for this podcast. The link is also in the show notes below. Please, if you're able to, we would love any contribution you're able to support us with. We all have costs that we need to try to cover with this show, and any support would be greatly, greatly appreciated.
You're based in the States, right?
Yeah, I'm in Dallas area, North
So
Texas, yeah.
I don't know how it's there, but the situation here of the industry in Malta and in Europe itself in general, it's a disaster. You know what I mean?
Now, this was just a brief snippet from our conversation when we started talking a little bit about the impacts of COVID on Malta and where it's at today. But it can easily apply to the conversation that's about to happen. Hopefully you loved the first part, but this one breaks down something that Chef Ariel is very passionate about, and hopefully all chefs are passionate about. And it's really about our food supply and the concept of buying local. Seems pretty simple, right? But once again, it never really is. We all know that. It's not as simple as it should be. Now, so before we get too far into this as well, like,
Yeah.
so we're getting into your dissertation, your
Yeah.
thesis here. And why did you, I mean, obviously you're very passionate about it,
Yes.
but what was this thesis for?
So I did. So basically, since I was working in Din in the Sky, and it was mainly whole for 6 months, the season during the
Hmm.
summertime, and then I said, okay, let's study. Let's. Okay, I've been head chef. I am a head chef, but I don't have those beginning, basic skills, or at least the theory behind that. Let's go and study. Let's do. And I checked, and here I could do. They allow me to do a bachelor's degree. So it's basically
Okay.
it's a kind of university title, like university at the end degree, which is over 3 years, and then I said yes, why not? So I was studying, winter, fall, and I was working mainly during the summertime. So it was perfectly time was perfect. So obviously, as then it took a bit longer than normal. It took me
Right.
4 years because in between was COVID inside. And part of the degree was I spent 4 months in Institut Paul Bocuse. So I spent 4 months intensive in Institut Paul Bocuse. So, but then we flew when COVID was here, when COVID started, and then back, and then what we do, and then again, and then so it take a bit longer. And the last thing that I needed, as I needed to do a thesis, a dissertation of 15,000 words to, because it's a degree, it's a bachelor's degree with
Okay.
honors, So that's part of it. And unfortunately, I failed the first one, to be honest, and I needed to do another one. It was meant to fail, I end up having already. I started as part-time job, full-time study, and I end up full-time study plus another plus full-time work plus another part-time work plus everything, and it was really really complicated. But yeah, was part of it. Was done, graduate, and everything is perfect.
So how did you choose this topic? In the topics exploring the usage of local products within the hospitality business in Malta.
So, as I said, first I failed my first thesis, which was based on ethical consumption. I truly consider myself an ethical consumer, which means that, and it's related to the local produce. But I do think twice before I buy any food related produce. For example, I, buying avocado, it's actually supporting not only the fact that avocado kills the soil, but it's or use a lot of water, but it's also supporting the labor laws in countries where the avocado it's grown, and some countries, we know that there are kids working in there, and it's a bit shady, let's call it. So I don't buy that unless it's, for example, here we receive avocado from Spain, from the Canary Islands. Fair enough,
Okay.
no problem. So failing the ethical consumption thesis, doesn't matter why. To be honest, I didn't really do many things. I still wanted to stay on something similar.
Sure. This makes sense then.
And then I said, okay, let's see. One of the main goals of the academy where I teach is that we use only local products in terms of fruits, vegetables, and proteins. Obviously, spices, there is a limit. How can you use? But we try to use only local products in terms of that. So I said, if this is something I'm dealing with it every day, let's focus on that. And then I decided to do that, and try to understand why. If we as an academy can do that, are the restaurant doing it? Because I don't see it on the menus. Here in Malta, unfortunately, we live in an island in the middle of the Mediterranean, and 85% of the restaurants, they have sea bass, farmed, and salmon in the menu. And I can't understand why we have salmon in the menu. Sea bass, I understand, it's locally grown. Farmed, fair enough, but it's local at least. It's from here. At least it's from here. But why salmon? And the answer is because that's what people like. I said, but that's not what people like. That's
Well,
what
it's only,
that's what you are offering, so that's what they choose.
yeah.
But why if you offer something else?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it is a complicated topic, yeah. And for me, it was important, and because that's what I do. You know what I mean. I
It,
don't
it,
I don't buy in my house, for example, unless my kids really 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 want, and maybe once every, but usually I don't.
so, yeah, I mean, when it comes to local versus the imported, how much of it is just business decision for more of the tourist market, because Malta is kind of heavy on the tourist market, right?
Yes, it is.
Where they're almost, you go there and they're offering stuff that it's just tourist trap crap.
Exactly, but that's a thing. There is an increase, extreme increase in whole Europe on the food tourism. People who
Hmm.
want to buy local stuff. Then you arrive to Malta, and if a foodie arrives to Malta, it will be hard to find where to eat local food. And I'm not talking about traditional Maltese food, because there is traditional Maltese food. I'm talking about that you go to any restaurant, whatever middle range. Here you have high end, which are good, not hardly using local product. The middle range are bad, and then you have the low, just a kiosk in the street, whatever.
Hmm.
Which those are quite good because they sell traditional Maltese street food. You know what I mean? Which is fine. But in the middle, which is the normal people used to usually go,
Hmm.
most of them are tourist oriented, what they believe the tourists want, or what they found that the tourists want. That's what it is. They all have steaks, Argentinian ribeye, man, from you
With
know what I mean?
chimichurri and
Yeah. Now I'm Argentinian. I don't buy
yeah.
Argentinian meat. I don't buy Argentinian meat because it pissed me off that they bring it from there. You know what I mean? I try to buy, for example, there is a breed in Italy called Scottona, which is a type of cow.
Hmm.
So I buy that. It's slaughtered in Sicily, which is 40 minutes in a ferry. It's slaughtered in Sicily. It's not locally grown, but it's there. Or else I buy,
A lot more local than Argentina.
of course, that's the thing. Or else I even buy Maltese locally grown beef. I think they slaughter here maybe two cows per week, something like that.
Right.
Maybe three. Uh, but I buy from a butcher that they have. You know what I mean? And I try to buy things that all the rest of the people they don't buy because I know, because I have the knowledge or the experience or whatever. But at least I know, my head is quiet that I did myself as much as I can to to keep them on the same situation. And yes, most of the restaurants here, unfortunately, they sell what the general crap tourists want. So part of the restaurant review that I do, we do restaurant review for free. Me and an American lady, and that she has a lot of. She also wrote a book coming out soon. Um, she is a foodie, and I'm the chef, so it calls the foodie and the chef on tour. And we actually try to find small places that they do something specific with local product, but they don't have a lot of potential for marketing. So we go, we eat. Obviously, they give us the food, and we write a review and we post in the magazine, which is tourist oriented magazine.
Okay.
So that way, you know, because we both are foreigners, and I found a lot of places that I never heard about them. Living in Malta for almost 6 years, I never heard about them because they're more, you know, on the local
The
market
local
or
spot.
exactly, or it's not very popular or things like that. And we try to showcase that.
That's cool. That's a lot more what I'd look for.
Yeah.
Although, like, so much of like when I would travel, when I see stuff in magazines, I know. I mean, I thought I knew, but it's all paid placement.
Some of them, yes. The thing is, again, we are the magazine that we work is it is tourist oriented, but it's not the magazine of the airport. You know what I mean? You won't find it on the airline. You will find it on the air. You will find it on the airport, and it's for free. I think it's for free, but it's not in
Yeah,
the airline. You know what I mean? There's a difference.
I
There's a
love all
difference.
those like hey,
Yeah.
best seafood or best steaks and wherever,
Yeah.
and it's just an ad,
Yeah.
and it's not actually produced by anybody other than the company
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
that
No. And the good thing is that with us, you actually read. It's a whole review about the place, about how we found it, how what we think, what we had, what they have, what they offer. Why what Sometimes we don't even agree. I mean, the lady, we went to a place that they do their own fried calamari. Obviously here there is plenty of calamari,
mhm.
and usually, me personally, I like very thin coat of flour, and this lady, she likes more butter, kind of more British butter, kind of. And at the place here, the place that we went, they do like that. And she was in love. And I said, well, you see, I don't like it. I mean, if as a chef, I can tell you it's very good. It's well done. But I prefer the thin one. So
Yeah.
and we try to showcase that they have a special recipe that comes from ages and ages with the same butter, the same calamari, the same thing. And the calamari that he buys is from the next door lady that she sells in the fish market, and so all those things we try to do.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
So we're kind of getting away from your thesis a little bit here, but
Sorry.
so no, 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 no. This is good. I mean, I think it's all relevant as well. But so your thesis, you went through, you interviewed 5 people in different elements, right?
Yeah. Ideally, what we did is we interview. I interview from Michelin Star restaurant,
Hmm.
five-star hotel, until a small takeaway shop. Everyone,
Yep.
at least I try to understand.
Kind of cover the spectrum.
Yeah, cover all the spectrum. I could have done it more with more people, but unfortunately, some they tell you no, no, that's we only give you one or blah blah blah. Because my idea was like when we talk a five-star hotel, okay. So I spoke to the executive chef, but what about the purchase manager, or what about the sommelier? You know what I mean? There are many
Yep.
things, many services, but they decided that just one person, uh, and I covered all the spectrum of all the options. So I didn't want to do two places on the same range, kind of, because it's
Yeah, that makes
pointless.
sense.
It's pointless. So yes, we did that in each one, and yeah.
So was there anything about it that surprised you? Like after you collected
Well,
everything.
for example, I have to say that it really surprised me, the Michelin Star restaurant. I mean, the five-star hotel, I assumed that they would mainly focus on imported because they buy big bulks and things like that.
Yeah, that one didn't surprise me.
But the Michelin Star restaurant, I was expecting that one of the criteria to have a Michelin Star is like you focus on mostly on local product, and unfortunately, I know, and he told me I can't. My proteins cannot be local because the quality is not there. So you know what I mean. So he's telling me the quality is not there, and then the vegetables at the end, the season is so short, or something.
Hmm.
I just can't. Which in my head was okay. If it's short, use 2 weeks cauliflower, another 2 weeks, I don't know, another thing, another 2 weeks, another thing. Just change it. That's a side dish. Fair enough. You know what I mean? Okay, you need to focus on your proteins, and for any reason you don't use local. Okay, but all the rest,
Yeah, no,
you know what?
I get that. Is the middle range restaurant seem to be more focused on?
Because I choose one specific one middle range that they claim to be traditional Maltese food, and I said, okay, your traditional Maltese food. What are your ingredients? And happily, they are using specifically. And he told me, I pay more, but I use local. I pay more for sun-dried tomatoes that it's done by my uncle, my cousin, my whoever, you know what I mean, than the ones the capers I buy here in Malta. There is a lot of wild capers. So you can go actually in the countryside and pick them up. So, and he said, I prefer to use these ones, even if I pay more, than buy a bulk of, 10 kilo from somewhere and that's it. And that was very good. And that was what I wanted to listen, you know what I mean? And I also have on the high-end restaurant, there is a high-end restaurant, the one that I interviewed, that they were just open, they just nearly open, and they claim, in fact, I see that they don't use anything. They don't use anything from abroad, and in fact, lately I gained to know that there is a guy growing sugarcane in Malta, and there is a lady growing stevia, and they were all sold to this restaurant.
Really?
Yes, yes. So he's doing his own. He was doing his own flour from local grain, and he's having his own kind of drying stevia plants for him for sweetener, and someone was growing sugarcane. Someone is growing local avocados now as well in Malta,
Okay.
which is funny. I mean, we're talking about an island that the size of. I mean, you are from Texas, so probably it's a old Malta. It's 1/3 of a neighborhood, probably. It's super super small.
Whoops. I look it up.
But yeah, it looks like, increase of at the end, my main focus was always, or my main idea, my main goal for both theses is that if you increase the demand, at the end the supply will come. If the consumers have the chance to actually change, but if they don't demand it, we will keep seeing here salmon and sea bass everywhere.
Well, I mean, that's kind of that. I mean, we're almost talking like what came first, the chicken or the egg,
No, I
right?
agree. Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So there's a combination of, you've got to have the demand, right? And then you've got to have the support from the public, as well as just, ownership that's going to pay for it. And then be able to find that middle ground as far as pricing structures, because it feels like pricing is such a weird thing that everybody is trying to compete with, the big corporate places or
Yeah,
just your chains. And it's like, okay, we'll never be able to compete with that as a smaller restaurant. So just stop, right? Stop trying to be that place that you don't want to be,
exactly. And the
but
thing is,
stop comparing yourself to that too. So
I believe that unfortunately, many restaurants they don't understand marketing. So they open and they don't understand what's the target market. They don't know how to focus. They don't do segmentation. They don't understand all these words are non. All those words that I learned them during my degree, and I know that.
mhm.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And that's why I believe that having a degree, I'm not just saying having a small course of cooking. Now you want to manage a restaurant, you have to study, or you have to have the money to pay someone who studied to managing for you, because you can't open a burger place, you know what I mean, as it happens here. But the thing is, again, here every burger place that opens, they copy what the others did, and you end up having a takeaway burger place with truffle burger. Man, now The problem is that people ordering that, saying, "Oh, I'm having a burger with truffle." No, they bought a sauce which has no truffle at all, just some essence, and they put it to you and they sell it to you. So the lack
Yeah.
of knowledge. Now, what I'm saying is, as a restaurateur, why are you putting that? Or you know what? Back to the fish option.
Yeah.
You want to have salmon because people like salmon. You want you want to have sea bass because okay, have three. Have local fish of the day, sea bass or salmon. But at least you're trying. Now you
Well,
said
I mean,
because you
you're
said
in the yeah, as to say, you're in the Mediterranean. You're in the island in the Mediterranean.
exactly.
Seafood should not be a problem.
No,
I mean,
and
you've got beautiful seafood where you're at.
it is a problem.
I mean, salmon is like
No,
that's just a shot in the face.
it is a problem. It is a huge problem here because unfortunately this is what something I talked to my fishmonger and he's telling me the fish guys first of all there is the lower the during COVID or whatever they stop going and many change and they don't go anymore and those who go they sail to the area of Sicily or even Greece and they sell there. They sail, they catch whatever they can, and they don't bring the top quality to Malta. They sell the second or the third quality to Malta on the same price that they sell the top quality in Sicily. So we pay more for less quality. And then
For
you
their
go,
leftovers.
exactly, and then you go, you take a ferry or you take a plane for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, you land in Napoli, and you have the best seafood ever in your life. And it's
It
the
all
same.
came from Malta,
And it's the same sea. It's the same sea. You know what
right?
I mean? It's exactly the same sea. I'm not talking about, I don't know, Andalusia in Spain and Tel Aviv. Okay, it's all Mediterranean. It's all Mediterranean, fair enough. But the currents, the things, the heats, blah blah blah. But Sicily and Malta,
Yeah,
there is people that they do swimming that they swim that. You know what I mean? So it's
man.
crazy. It's crazy. It is a sort of what's first, demand or the offer. I believe the if you as a restaurateur try to offer something, I'm not talking about change the whole mind, but one step at a time. As Rocky Balboa used to say, one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time.
Sure.
Offer
And
offer
so
something else, something.
yeah, no, I 100% agree with that because if you're not going to get the best quality if nobody's going to buy it.
No,
Like, I mean, or if you're not trying. So, I mean, if they see the support, the farmers and your fishmongers, absolutely. Why wouldn't they want to bring the money home?
that's
Um,
a and also the government is here. It has a huge. I mean, I am a liberal. I don't like government to impose or to enter, in that in terms of um, uh, economy. And I'm not trying to regulate prices or the opposite, but promote, promote. Now, don't promote only in the Maltese television for in Maltese because there is about 500,000 people living in Malta. Probably 150,000, 200,000 are foreigners. Now, if you don't understand that, then keep doing advertise on the Maltese television that nobody sees. Because anyway, nobody sees.
yeah,
You know
no,
what
I
I
was
mean?
just so many things. I'm thinking like, but even then, like when like government, like smart government is when you try to protect the business and your agriculture um, and that's imposing whether it's tariffs or something, taxes on product that you can get in Malta, but
Exactly.
then is imported, and then all of a sudden it creates a fair market value. right?
Yeah,
Because
you can. Again, personal opinion, I don't like that. I don't like all these things because
no,
it's, you know what I mean? But at least try to, you know what? The Minister of Tourism is one of the most important industries in Malta. Combine food with tourism.
well, are you familiar with how pad thai was created?
Pad Thai? No.
And from Thailand,
Yeah, I know, but I don't know how.
right? So it was created through tourism. And so when they were in the process of changing their name from like Siam to Thailand, and or what we call Thailand, and they were looking for a dish that represented their culture, and just who they are as a people, right? They wanted something to help define their identity and their culture. So they had a national competition to create the next national dish. And so pad thai was created out of a competition to create a national dish that represented who they were.
Well, that's the thing. And now here, okay, there is national dishes, there is whatever you want, but promote it, showcase, showcase the local produce. There is, listen, there is DOP on cheeses in Malta. There is DOP on cheeses, and nobody
Okay.
knows. There is DOK, which is DOK in wines.
Okay.
It's like DOP, but in Maltese, in wines.
Okay.
The wines here are not bad. I'm not. I'm not. They are not a Burgundy Pinot Noir, but you know what I mean. But they're not bad. They're good. I choose, most of the time, local Maltese wine when I go out to eat because I'm. But that's me. My wife always complains about that. But anyway. But again, but you know what? But you know what? There is a wine here. There is a winery here. Fantastic. And they have amazing olive oil. But you need to spend in a restaurant almost €100 per bottle. Man, we're still talking about Malta.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not a Premier Cru. It's a wine from Malta. So, with all due respect, you don't know. You need to understand that. Now I don't know if it's the winery or if the restaurant, but someone in the middle is doing something wrong because
How do they mark? How do, like so wine in Europe and those countries? Like how is that priced?
I, I don't know how. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know
You
how they
don't know.
price this. No, I believe. Look, the winery, I can check. I don't really know. I have someone who works in winery, and I'm in contact with
Okay.
him. He came as a student. You know, he came to one of
Well,
my
but
classes. But the problem here is that there is not enough. There is not a lot, so the cost it's high. And I understand that, but still,
yeah.
we don't. But still, we are not. You can't. Your price cannot be the same as a Premier Cru from Chablis. You know what I mean? With all my respect, it's not. You can't. You
Hmm.
know, a Chablis Premier Cru cost €120. Your white wine has to cost no more than 50. Because you're not there. Even if you're amazing, you're not there. Now, then there is a problem with cost wise because amount or whatever. I don't know. Change your market. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do something else. But I'm not buying that. It's too much.
Yeah. No, I
You
mean that's
know,
a lot for a local wine that is. I mean, it's going to be good, but like you said, is it that level?
that's a thing. That's a thing.
Hmm.
So there are a lot of things, and you know, and bringing this forward, and I think it's a trend going on in all Europe. What's happening with
It's going on everywhere.
but mainly with the local product. It's like the prices are getting crazy with the war
Hmm.
mainly.
Oh, okay.
people try to go, but it's a mix of convenience and prices. You know what I mean? People now, they work too much, and all for the computer. Ta, ta, ta. In 30 minutes, you have all your order. The next day, you have delivery of on your home. And it's sad. It's sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, so what the war in Ukraine right now? Like, what's been the biggest impact price wise? Like, what items? I mean, I know grain was a huge export.
Grain is a huge, oil as well.
Okay,
I remember paying um, the 20, 26, 25 liters, jerrycan
sure.
of frying oil. Sorry, I speak in liters, but that's what I know. I don't
Yeah,
know
I get
I
it.
think don't know how many gallons are. We used to pay 26 euros for the 25 liters, and the last offer I received when I still used to deal with all these bulks, it was 75 euros per 25 liters, from 26 to 75. And that's the price, and it doesn't go down. And we're talking about, vegetable oil, which based on soybeans and whatever.
Hmm.
And it's
Soybean, canola, vegetable
yeah,
oils. Yeah.
yes. Oil definitely, grains and flours as well. And again, grains, the impact in animals, so animal feed.
Mm.
I volunteer in a horse rescue place, and the animal feed went up dramatically. Even the hay, even buying hay, it's hard. It's more
Yeah, because
expensive.
once you short something else, you're going to put
Exactly,
pressure on the other spot.
exactly.
So,
It's a whole cycle of of complications. Yeah.
well, let's hope this gets wrapped up sooner
Yes,
than
hope so.
later.
Yeah, hope so. The thing is, we stop hearing in the news. You know what I mean? They still
Yeah.
fighting. It was okay all over the news. Couple of days. That's it.
So let's talk shelf life and in marketing. All right, you brought up marketing, and in I read this in your thesis. And it kind of annoyed me, not because it was in there, but because I mean I see the same thing here, and it's just like that shouldn't be an issue. But when people are saying like they didn't, the local produce would just come in a bag and it wasn't like properly marketed, and I'm like,
Yeah,
well, okay, one, I'm already paying more for something because the concept of local is also the concept of sustainability, which you talk about, right? But sustainability means it has a positive impact on that farmer, his family, the environment, and the economy,
yeah. And
right?
and all the feedback that I receive is that every local product is just put it in a bag and looks like disgusting thing. Mainly in proteins. That's the thing. They send you proteins not even wrapped up. The packages is just a bag or whatever.
I mean, that could be an easy fix. It's like, hey, you want me to wrap this up in something? Fine, but like stuff shouldn't just be put into these fancy packages just for you to later take out. Like,
I
I mean,
agree. I agree. But again, that's look, when you bring imported things, that's how they come. They come in
well,
fancy
because
stuff.
it's
Big,
because all that it's designed to be on a store.
yeah,
It's designed and grown to look pretty on a store shelf.
yes, and I agree. The thing is, and that's something that was telling me the guy from the hotel, and he was telling me, it can't be that I ordered chicken and I said, okay, you know what, bring me local chicken, and I receive a plastic box, kind of with like 10 or 15 chickens, one on top of each other, and just with a bag and just like that. I mean, okay,
Sure.
don't fancy wrap it, but at least wrap it properly. You know what I mean? Don't bring me a disgusting, box where the blood or the liquids are falling. You know what I mean? Because that's what happened. And the thing
Okay.
is, and what I see here is that I don't want to say the health and an environment has an impact, or people in Malta, they live somehow, on the edge of the 60s and the 70s, where we all were eating with our hands after touching the mud. But in many situations, it is. In many situations, it is like that. And you say that, okay, I'd like local, but at least don't package it with a plastic box, those white material. I forgot how to say that in English. Those white trays,
Oh,
plastic white,
styrofoam.
yeah, styrofoam with cling film. And okay, don't. Can you vacuum it, for example? Take take a vacuum bag, put the chickens, vacuum them. Even if the bones break the bag, you know what? At least it will not start leaking, smelling in the box. You know what I mean? That concept, it's not understandable.
I mean, is it like a generational gap kind of
I
thing,
think it's
maybe?
generational gap. In my opinion, it's generational gap because even here, I mean, when I go to a farmer's market, I don't expect anything. You know what I mean? I just expect I go with my bag, with my plastic bag, big one, just put everything inside. I then go home. Fair enough.
Sure.
When you buy from a farmer's in at home, they bring you fancy things, box, cardboard box with paper bags inside or blah blah blah. And, okay, you know what I mean. If you're a farmer, you bring me a box so you don't make dirty. Fair enough. Okay, but just why adding more papers and more bags and more inside and everything? I don't know. Maybe it's because of me. Maybe people like it more, people like it less, and it's all about marketing and how I'm fancy and how with that. I'm saying that you it cannot be such a difference between what you come from abroad. It's so fancy packaged and some dated and everything, and then here you buy again. Back to the chickens. There's not even date on the packages, just in the bag
No, yeah.
and that's it. And and that's sad because when I buy my chickens or my beef from the local butcher, there is dates and there is everything. So why the retail not? You know what I mean? Why not? Why? Because I pay more, and then you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's sort of the tricky part because out here, I mean, we have to have like USDA is involved with everything. So I mean, it's part of that government oversight, and it's become very restrictive. So like a local chicken farmer, right? I mean, we're talking like after everything's said and done, like it in one processing, right? It's more to process a chicken than what they can almost sell it for,
Hmm.
right? And so, um, yeah, that's the tough part because the processing can create more of a dirtier environment as well here than a natural where they would be doing working outdoors um,
Hmm.
and so there's a lot of elements to it that create more costs, right? And so even though they're going to have a better quality product, healthier product because it's not going to have all the elements to it, and everything's sold like I mean they're almost harvesting just what's sold, right? Or they're going to sell it, freeze it, and then
Yeah.
take it to market. Um, but they can't compete with pricing. You know, just
No.
like we talk about, like out here. or we've got, the Costco's, like those big markets, and they sell whole roasted chickens for like $6. And it's like, well, that's what
Yeah.
it costs just to have it processed.
No, no, no,
It
definitely.
costs, so I'm like, I mean, nobody can compete with that.
No.
So when someone says that, hey, it's $20 for a whole chicken, right? Then it's like, well, why is it twice as much as this one that's already cooked and ready to go? And the public doesn't understand that.
No. That's lack of
And it's
knowledge, education.
but and so there's part that says education, right? But do they want to know? Do they care enough?
Well, I don't think they want to know because unfortunately most of the people think with the pocket and not with the head. And that's something that and that's something here that's, I mean, everywhere, something everywhere. And that's why I believe that you can solve that with education for the future. So at the end, if you focus on the education of the kids, if the kids would know, do the kids know where the chicken nuggets come from? They have to know, but they have to know. And
Right,
that's
right.
you know what I mean? It's this chicken. You see, now it's walking. And then, I'm not talking about that. I'm not going to send my 5 years old kid to a slaughterhouse. I'm not. But he knows that, the ham comes from the pig. And in the farm where we volunteer with the horses, we have a pig. And then, okay, so this is a pig. And when he dies, they create food. So this is what I try to do. Now, I believe kids in school, they should go to farms. They should go and see. One day, I don't know, picking strawberries. You know what I mean? Pick and eat. Pick and eat. They don't
Just
even
get them
know.
to.
They don't even know how the
Yeah.
how the strawberries grow. They don't even know why. You know what I mean? Like my son was telling me lately. There are supermarkets here now in the middle of. We're already in December, which is winter, and and he asked me for a peach, and I said no, there's no peach. No, but there is in the supermarket. And my question is, why? Why do we need to have peach in the supermarket in December in the middle of the Mediterranean? Why?
And it's not even good. It won't be
It's
good.
disgusting. It's
Yeah.
tasteless. That's the thing. It's tasteless. It has been in fridge for who knows. You know
Right.
what I mean? Kept in cameras on 0 degrees or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah. Took the cargo freighter over from the south.
Exactly. Or who
Yeah.
knows from where it's coming from. You have asparagus from Peru.
Hmm.
Now you need to add another thing. Malta will never be the first step, the first stop. It probably will be the last stop. So the asparagus from Peru, they arrive to some central area in Central Europe. Now from there, they might arrive to Sicily, and from there to Malta, and from inside customs to the shop. So imagine how long these asparagus have been harvested from that are
Hmm.
to be able to buy it here. And I still see restaurants in the menu using asparagus. And that's,
And it's still cheaper than anything that could be produced locally.
I don't know, no, not necessarily.
Not
There
necessarily.
is there is
Okay.
amazing local asparagus, seasonal. There is fantastic,
But seasonal.
but asparagus is fancy. So some restaurants, they middle range, whatever they want to be, and they sell as, and it's incredible. It's crazy. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy.
So at what point, I mean, so this kind of goes back to your concept of the ethics, though,
Exactly.
right? So is it teaching the ethics at the school? Because I mean, there's also huge, like we've kind of talked about it, though, just the disassociation with our food supply.
Yeah.
right? We just assume like, hey, there's a peach there. Where'd it come from? And it's, I don't know. I pushed a button.
I
Um,
I have to say that that was a change in myself. I mean, I slowly, the more I was into the food industry, I slightly, I start changing myself, my habits, my food habits, or purchase habits, more into
mhm,
the ethical, and start thinking, okay, let's buy free range chicken. Okay, where there is free range chicken, okay, so we know that there is free range chicken coming from Italy. Are What do we prefer? I prefer the free range chicken, okay, or I buy local chicken, and the local chicken, which one? And then I saw a chicken farm in Malta, and I cannot even get close to those chickens, and it cost you €1.20 per kilo, or something like that, and the free range costs you €5 per kilo.
right.
But the growing way, it's really it's bad. So then there is something in between. We found in the academy. Then teaching in the academy, and with the values of the academy, they also brought me try to see different suppliers. And then there is a guy growing capons, which are amazing and really big, nice, very fantastic. But the supply is very small, so you need to call him, and then and blah, blah, blah. So in that case, I personally, I prefer to buy the free range chicken from Italy. So I buy. So you know what I mean. So that's one thing. I think it's the way to go. I mean, at the end, you need to respect what's next to you. You need to respect the land, the soil, the land. I'm not saying that will taste better. You know what I mean? I'm not even thinking on the flavor. I'm thinking about respect the animal, respect the food, the environment. This is my way of thinking. So when I buy local beef, which is extremely bad comparing to the Argentinian beef, and I'm talking about extremely bad, really no good. But yet again, so I said to myself, okay, if I want a steak, I will buy the Italian steak, which is which is good. It's decent, it's good. But as an Argentinian and as a chef, I know how to take a beef ribs and turn it into something fantastic. I know how to
Sure.
take a beef cheeks and turn it into something fantastic. So I will buy the local land. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And do it in a slow barbecue or whatever. So that's the way I start thinking, and that's why I came into the ethical, and that's what I try to explain to my kids. Then we'll see. You know what I mean?
How much they were listening, huh?
They are. I have to say that they are. They are. They. You know what I mean? I
That's
still
good.
I still buy bananas and kiwis. I have to say, because, but that's the banana. It's only bananas itself is the topic that someone can speak hours and hours. How we lost all the different kind of bananas that exist, and then we end up
Right.
having only one, which is highly produced, survive every environment, and that's it.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Exactly.
So what's your plan now? Like, you've got your thesis, you've got you've learned everything. Like, where do you want to go with this?
Um, well, ideally, so basically, as I told you, well, lately I got a job opportunity on iGaming as well. Basically, some people that they know my wife, they needed someone to just to be the face the, in here in Malta, because the company is registered here, so they needed someone.
Mm,
So I entered into that. But my idea is, so first of all, I will keep teaching. I kind of took a step back the last month, so I settled the iGaming stuff, but I will keep teaching definitely. When you teach, when you do a workshop, we do mainly workshops of 1 day workshops. It's a 3 hour workshop, but we speak so many about something else but the recipe and the basic skills. And then this is where I believe I keep, talking about the ethical consumption and the local produce, and try to explain everyone who anytime came under my classes why it's important. You know what I mean?
So why is it important?
Why it is important? Exactly why it's important.
I know we've been
Well,
talking about it, but
no, because look, especially in places like an island, you can't be 100% dependent on your food on someone else. Now, if the demand continue to go down, I saw you saw that on my thesis. There is almost 40-45% of the land which is, it's not even sold. It's used for, communal or for local or for personal usage. So people are not going to farm. It's not, they don't want to be. They don't want to be farmers. There is plenty of spaces. You can go here and there's plenty of spaces of nothing, of land which is not even cropped. So you know what I mean. So on the classes, I try to explain, and the next thing that I will definitely do eventually will be content creating. I do very small reels when I remember with my phone, but I try to do more on the content creating on local product. Again, go to the farmers market.
that's all going to be about the local.
Exactly. Go to the farmers market, go to the butcher, go to the fishmonger, talk to them. Do short videos. Okay, what do we have? Give me this, and then go back and then film a recipe. The thing is, it's still ongoing, because I believe, unfortunately, long YouTube videos are not anymore on that. It's more on short reels. Then there is a limit how much you can explain and teach on these small reels. But
Attention spans have gone out the window.
exactly,
Nobody's
exactly.
got an attention span anymore.
No. People more than 3 minutes, it's gone. It's like that. It's like that.
It's sad. That's a whole nother issue.
Yes. But again, as even this, continue talking about this. Coming into in this type of things. Anytime I went to the television here in Malta, I went to the TV a couple of times, so try to focus on that and to explain that, try to bring these topics up, and eventually see. I don't know. Maybe one day someone will listen from the government or whatever, and they will invite me to talk about.
Hey, you never know. I mean, I get it, because I worked for a seafood place, seafood restaurant, and even though we're landlocked, I had all my seafood was flown in from the different coasts, West Coast, East Coast.
Yeah.
So nothing local about it. But we tried to make the smartest decisions we could. And I remember talking to somebody about the concept of sustainability. And this was before marketing companies got a hold of it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, where does it start? How does it go? And it's like, well, it starts with me. Right. It's exactly where you're at. It's like, it starts with you, and then you talk about it and you live it. Right. You don't just talk about it, but you live it. And you be the example, and just hopefully, you can make enough of an impact at some point to get it to grow.
Hopefully. I try to do that. As I told you, from leading by example, that's what I think it has to be. You need to lead by example and lead by example in anything that you do. So I couldn't write a thesis or a dissertation about local product if by myself I was not actually buying local product. So that's the first thing I do. And I try to explain again, my wife, forget it. She buy whatever she wants, and it's fair enough, no problem. You know what I mean? But when we are together, I do the stuff, and my kids also, they know, they try.
Let me ask you this: what if there's one product, one item out of Malta that you want to see benefit the most out of just more of that, the locavore kind of mindset? What would it be?
I have to tell you that the local olive oil, it's
Okay.
really, really good. It's really, but like extremely good. The local honey, local olive oil, ghost cheeses. But again, they do ghost cheese, but they only do one type. You know what I mean? But local olive oil for sure. The honey, really good, and ghost cheeses. I think those are the three that components that they're the best. You know what I mean? They're really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any questions for me?
Not much. I mean, I've been hearing no, but that's the thing. I think it's fantastic that that you give space to anyone to speak. Topics are important. Topics are important. It's good that people speak about that. It's sad and good at the same time that from two remote countries, we have the same ideas and same concepts, and the problems is a sharing
And the
problem.
same issues.
And this is exactly, it's a sharing issue. So the more we talk, the more we bring this up, more people will know. And I wish you all the best.
Well, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to this episode of Inside the Pressure Cooker. If you enjoyed this episode and feel like you're able to take something away from it, please go to Apple Podcasts and rate and review us. If you don't use Apple Podcasts, please follow us, as well as share this episode with a friend. This is a publication by Rare Plus Media, hosted and produced by me. From Rare Plus Media and myself, Chad Kelly, thank you for listening. Keep kicking ass.